I spend a lot of money on food per month. I probably spend about $5,000 a week or $20,000 a month on food.
Wait, did he really just say that much? No, hold up. That can't be right. Let me go back to the beginning and watch this over.
I spend a lot of money on food per month. I probably spend about $5,000 a week or $20,000 a month on food because I'm traveling all the time and I'm going to restaurants to eat, and I always insist on trying to get the best food I can. I don't like to eat a lot of salt or butter or sugar. Food is the engine of the body. You should think about what you're putting in your mouth every day. I'm a bad example when it comes to how much I spend per month because I'm taking people out for dinner for business. I'm buying a great bottle of wine. Think about it. It's business for me.
Okay, it makes sense why he spends nearly $20,000 a month. That's almost $250,000 a year on food alone. He's a successful multimillionaire, and that obviously fits into his business expenses. But food costs, overspending on groceries, overspending eating out, that's a common problem that we average people deal with on a daily basis. And that's actually what I'll be talking about on today's video. Keep watching, let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Achidi and I'm here to bring you a common sense approach to eating healthy and living your healthiest life without a whole bunch of BS, gimmicks, or misinformation. If you're new here, I post videos every week to help you cut through the noise and finally take control of your health. If you're already part of the community, welcome back. I got a good one for you. Today's video is packed with a ton of value because I'm going to uncover a couple of the ways that we end up tricking or manipulating ourselves into overspending on food. I'll also give you a simple way to determine what your food budget is and to know just how much you should actually be spending on food. And then lastly, I'll show you a quick and easy way to make not just a grocery shopping list, but a full-on meal plan that is completely customized to you and your body's needs. Stick around, make sure to like the video and share it with one of your friends or family members that could benefit from learning all this information. And if you haven't already done so, join the community by subscribing to my channel. I post videos every week. And lastly, a quick heads up, every Sunday I put out a completely free email newsletter that I pack with simple and sustainable health and fitness information. And if you want to get in on that, all you got to do is head down to the video description and hit the link that'll get you signed up starting today. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go into one of the more toxic mindsets that sets you up to be overspending on food and eating out constantly.
Okay, I'm all for budgeting, but here's why I spend anywhere from $1,200 to $1,400 on food alone every single month.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It wasn't always this way because I used to do meal prepping and buy cheaper food, but more recently, this is what I do. And the reason is pretty simple. When I could start affording it, I wanted to spend only my time and energy on things that were productive and made me more money. And cooking and cleaning were not one of those things. And also, typically now the food that I buy is healthier than the food that I was buying at lower cost to begin with.
So while
I definitely don't recommend this for beginners or people that are trying to cut costs at the beginning, I do it now because it saves me time and I don't have to think about it when my food is just getting delivered or prepped or made for me, and then all I have to do is just eat it and move on.
Okay, so I hear everything that he said there, but a couple things stuck out about this mindset that make it one that I definitely wouldn't sign up for, and I don't think you should either. In the very beginning of the clip, he says that he used to do a couple things like meal prep and he used to get cheaper food, but now that he is making more money, he no longer does either of those. So my questions about that is, what was his meal prep before? When he wasn't making a good amount of money, was he prepping crappy, cheap food like ramen noodles and hot dogs? Who knows? And then same thing, he says he was going out and eating cheap food. So was he getting a bunch of McDonald's, Jack in the Box, fast food like that? Because I can definitely see that his old ways weren't working for him and were setting him up to be very unhealthy. So that's good that he's now eating healthier, but he doesn't seem to want to take up going to the store and cooking for himself. He seems to want to devote as much of his time to working. And that's the second thing that stuck out to me, is he is setting himself up to be a workaholic that lives paycheck to paycheck. He correctly does want to maximize his earning potential, and he wants to make sure that he's spending as much time as possible doing that. So he's going to outsource as many tasks as possible, cooking and cleaning being the ones he brought up. And so I get it. You want to be able to work as much so you can earn as much as possible. But it doesn't sound like he's still willing to budget. He said he's all for it, but he's kind of thrown that out to the wayside, because $1,200 to $1,400 a month on food means that he is really either a very high earner making possibly $10,000 or more per month. But if he's not making that much money, he is not really budgeting correctly for his food. I'll get into it a little bit later about how much he should be budgeting for his food. Given the amount that he reported he spends each month on food, he really needs to be a high income earner to make that sustainable. Otherwise, he's going to be living paycheck to paycheck, and that might not feel too good. But not feeling too good because of your poor spending habits could be something that you actually want. If you don't believe me, check out this next video clip because it's going to explain exactly that. Hit the like button if you're still with me, and let's get into it.
This is an amazing point, and a lot of us do it. A lot of us are guilty for overspending on food. I know myself, I have overspent on groceries a lot, and it's because I buy stuff that I know I'm not even going to use, or I don't have the discipline to not actually order Uber Eats or DoorDash or go out to eat, because it's easier for me and I choose the easy way out. So again, it goes back onto being addicted to guilt and addicted to shame. We know that we're going to feel guilty after we order that food, and we just do it anyways. Basically, we're not willing to be disciplined enough. We're just really not willing to go the extra mile for our future selves and make life easier for her. We just want to take the short-term solution. So what I have to say to that about overspending on food is really just understand what your needs are and your essentials are, and really try to cook at home when you can. But also, budgeting and being organized with your money doesn't mean not having a good time either. You can still put a real amount aside for going out to eat, but you just need to stick to it. We need to be disciplined with our money and consistent with how we spend it, and that is all it takes. It just takes knowing what your amounts you're willing to spend are, because the thing about budgeting is you need to have room for happiness. You don't go and restrict yourself and spend on nothing. That's unrealistic. I'm a person that likes wellness treatments, and I like to get my nails done, and I like to get my hair done, and I like to get a nice smoothie, and I like to go for coffees out. I'm not going to restrict that out of my life, because those are things that I actually enjoy, that make me happy. I don't want to just live to work and spend money on essentials only and die. That's not how it is. But you need to have restrictions around how much you allow yourself to spend, and really just stick to it. If you tell yourself you're only giving yourself $200 this week for going out to eat, stick to that. Only spend on two nice dinners with your friends. Do not go and spend freaking $500 on groceries and then $500 on food. It's unrealistic and it's unnecessary, and you probably find yourself just throwing out a lot of stuff. But anyways, you're not alone, but I hope this helps.
So several things stuck out with that last video clip. The first one, so many of us just simply lack discipline. We want the immediate gratification now, and we'll deal with the consequences at a later time. And it should really be the opposite way. We give a little something now, and we get a lot back in return down the line. We want to set the future version of ourselves up for success instead of selfishly taking that reward now, because that's going to set the future version of ourselves up for a much harder time. So first and foremost is discipline and self-control. The second thing that stuck out is the addiction to guilt is a real thing. Whether or not you realize it, some of us are really addicted to feeling bad, and we create situations and self-talk to make ourselves feel like absolute death. I did that to myself whenever I was in an idle moment, and that's what led me to drink excessively, and that is what leads a lot of people to overspend on food, because they feel bad about themselves, so they decide I deserve a treat, an expensive one, a hard to get one, or whatever treat, and they eat that treat, and in the moment they have it, it's great, and then it's gone. And then now they're back to feeling like death, and they start the negative self-talk till they deal with that stress by coping with some indulgent food or alcohol or shopping or gambling or whatever it is. It's really an addiction to guilt that causes us to have all these other consequences. So keep that in mind when you feel very tethered to your eating out and spending habits. The last thing that I really liked is she talks about setting up a budget and keeping it realistic. Your budget is not going to be the same as my budget because my goals and your goals are completely different, and the things that I need to work on and the things that you need to work on are going to be different. So no two budgets are the same, but everybody needs to actually budget in for the things that bring them happiness, joy, feel good, take the edge off, whatever it is. For me, I need to include a budget for cookies and croissants. Once a week, I get one of those treats in my grocery shopping budget, and I enjoy the hell out of it. And when they're gone, they're gone. And because I know that I have those cookies or croissants in my weekly budget, I don't go off the rails and binge on something else because I don't get to have anything at all. This budget sucks. No. Your budget should be rooted in your reality, and that reality should include some indulgences. Obviously, indulge in moderation. So to recap, you have to use some kind of discipline. You shouldn't be relying on guilting yourself because that just creates a cycle of dependence on the poor behavior, and breaking from that is a necessity. And in order to break from that, have a budget that includes things you actually enjoy in it. Build them into your budget so you don't break out of your budget and binge eat or binge spend or binge drink or whatever it is. Now, since we're on the topic of a food budget, I'm going to show you a clip that will spell out the formula that you should use to determine A, what you're currently spending on your food, and B, is that the right amount to be spending on your food? And don't worry, whatever your current income is or whatever the amount of money you get is, this formula will work for you. So let's hit that like button and go to the next clip.
Budgets for a living, and one of the number one things I see people way overspending on is food and groceries, no matter what. We easily rationalize this category because we're like, we need to eat, we need food, this is how much it costs. But if you aren't really looking at your spending each month, you are probably spending way over a percentage than you should be in your monthly income. I always have people look at the last 3 months of their spending on groceries and eating out. So break that up. Look at the average that you spent over the last 3 months. If that number shocks you right away, that's a clear sign you need to cut that back. And if it's more than 15% of your income total, 15% of what you're bringing home, you should definitely be looking at ways to cut that down and to figure out how to cut back on your food and groceries.
She gives the exact amount that you should be spending on food. She breaks it down quite easily into look at what you're currently spending over the last 3 months. This keeps it based in reality, and you can actually finally assess what the hell is going on. And then you want to take all your food spending and put it into separate categories, groceries being one, restaurants/deliveries being another one. And look at both of those. You want to look at those two categories, and then you want to add them up. And if A, the amount scares you, that sticker shock, you are overspending on food. But if you're not really certain if you should be scared, just take whatever your monthly average income is. I'm going to use $10,000 because it's an easy math number. And if you're bringing in $10,000 a month, you shouldn't be spending more than 15% of that $10,000 on your groceries and food. So that means that out of $10,000, approximately $1,500 of it should be spent on groceries and food. That would be the amount that the guy in the initial video was spending. He said he was spending $1,200 to $1,400 a month. So assuming he's making $10,000 a month, then he is just about where he needs to be. But if he is not making $10,000 a month and he's making only say $6,000 or $7,000 a month, then he is well over about 20% of his income going to food, and that is not sustainable because obviously he has other expenses he has to account for. So do the math on yourself. Look at what you're currently spending on your food budget. And if it exceeds 15% of what you bring in on average each month, make the necessary adjustments. You still need fun stuff in there like going out to eat or having some of your favorite desserts or whatever it is. But you have to use some strategy on where you are spending your food budget. And if you need help with coming up with a grocery list and a meal plan, there's a great way you can do it using ChatGPT. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that on the next clip. Let's go to it.
To create a meal plan and grocery list for my family of 6 with only $200. I forgot to save for the week, but I think it got my point because it generated a meal plan. I'm terrible at meal planning. I'm terrible at budgeting. And I was like, you know what? At this point, artificial intelligence, let's see what you got. So I'm sure like you could make a fancier prompt. Everybody's saying like act as a chef. But look at what it says. It's like, sure, it can help you. For a family of 6, here's something you could do. Breakfast, oatmeal, eggs and fruit, turkey sandwiches, veggies. Look at this, dinner. 5 nights of dinners, tells me what to buy. All I do is take this, plug it into my Walmart app, order it, and then it's done. You gotta automate stuff in life in order to make things easier. This is my new hack to stay on budget, to quickly know what I'm cooking for the week. It's a meal plan. I'm not gonna use this. I'm gonna use this.
This is actually a great use of artificial intelligence because you can put in a very bare bones prompt and get a nice and easy meal plan and grocery list. But that's not how you should actually use it. You should talk to it and give it more detail. You can put in a prompt that says something like, hey, ChatGPT, act as a chef and nutritionist and help me craft a meal plan and grocery list for myself or me and my spouse or whomever. And these are some of the things that I want it to include. Make it high protein, cardiac or heart friendly, make it vegetarian. Here's what my budget is. Can you make that happen for me? And you will get a very good and detailed meal plan and also a grocery shopping list. And you will have no excuse on how to stay on budget and how to have a meal plan that you can actually follow. And again, the more detailed that you are with ChatGPT, the better it gets because it is there to help you. And this is how you can use artificial intelligence to help you have a better life, better health, and a little bit more wealth by sticking to a realistic budget that you create. If you've made it to the end of the video, I trust you've learned some great things. You've learned that trying to be a workaholic that can earn a ton and can spend a ton on food is really not sustainable. You also have learned that guilt is a big reason that many of us intentionally choose to do the wrong things, like overspend on food or cure our stress with food, and that vicious cycle has to stop. And the way to help stop that vicious cycle is to create a budget. Use your monthly income to determine what that upper limit of the budget is and look at what you've been spending on in the last 3 months so you can see how to transition from what you currently are doing and what you've done in the past to the more optimal version of what you should be doing. So a little bit of planning goes a long way, and you can use ChatGPT to help with all that planning. Talk to ChatGPT, let it know your budget, let it know the food considerations that you have to uphold, let it know all that stuff so you can have a meal plan and a grocery list that is rooted in reality, that makes sense to you, that has you improving your health and makes it simple and sustainable. It sounds almost too good to be true when you say it like that. Again, thanks for watching the entire video. Now that we're at the end of the video, another one is popping up in just a moment. You're gonna see why the standard American diet is one of the worst diets that we can take on and what you can do to eat in a better, more healthy way. Give it a watch, and I'll see you on the next one.